Jai Ma, Jai Guru Deva. Welcome, everyone. We are continuing our exploration of key Vedanta concepts through Acharya Shunya's satsanga teachings. And today we will be exploring these key concepts of Satyam and Mithya and grounding ourselves as we explore the meanings of these words with clean slates and just and grounding our minds in the expansive nature of this ultimate level of reality of Brahman through exploring these concepts. But we'll begin with, as we always do, our opening prayers, our lineage invocation, which we chant with so much of gratitude, with hearts full of humility and reverence and gratitude that we are part of this fertile garden of wisdom, this flowing river through which we are hearing this knowledge that's been passed down for thousands of years from teacher to student, and in many, many years in our present lineage, beginning with Shanti Prakash Acharya in or Bade Baba, and who came first, and then followed by Ayodhyanath Acharya, who we know as Baba in the middle, and Shunyacharya or Acharya Shunya, our dear teacher in the present. And of course, they are taking forward this wisdom that is thousands of years old. And so if you wish to chant along with me as this opening prayer has come on your screen, or if you simply wish to listen, however it resonates with you, I invite you to join me in our opening prayer. On an inhale, Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Om Shanti Prakashaya Namaha. Om Ayodhyanathaya Namaha. Om Shunyacharya Namaha. Om Atmatattvam Namaha. Om Vidyatattvam Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. With that, I would like to invite Sadhvi Ishani to take us forward.
Jai Ma, everyone, welcome. So today we step forward into a new satsanga with Acharya Shunya that asks us to really bend our ideas of what is really real. But she definitely will not leave us floating out there in the ether. It'll become very deeply grounded in our own experience. So this satsanga will take us forward with these concepts. We'll again have time after the satsanga to simply sit quietly and allow what we've heard to reverberate, allow it to echo. And in that time, after the satsanga, I invite you to not try to write, not try to capture, not try to pin down what your insights are. Just let them reveal themselves from within. Because as Acharya Shunya tells us, this process of mananam, which is really just dwelling on the words of the teacher, the words that come from Shastra, the Upanishads, that practice of mananam, what emerges for us in that practice becomes our knowing, becomes something that is ours. And so we don't forget it easily. So that's what we'll be cultivating in those 5 minutes after receiving this satsanga. And then we again will hear what insights emerged and experience what everyone else has experienced during this satsanga. So with that, I would like to go right into our teaching today. We can share that recording and we'll meet again after. Thank you.
We are awake, we have one kind of reality, but it dies out and we have a dream reality. And do we take our dreams seriously? We do. If you're thirsty in your dream, would real water help you or dream water help you? Please tell me. So when in the dream world, that is your only reality. But then that dream reality where you were suffering, seeking water, or enjoying your riches, or even sexual life, it ends when you wake up. In the same way, this reality is of a lower order, and those special words from the Upanishads tell us that when you wake up from this reality, the absolute reality of your true self and the universal self is awaiting you. So don't just think, just like we dismiss our dream saying, thank God it's a dream, don't we? Especially when the spooky ones come, but when the delicious ones come, we go, it's a dream. Let me sleep on the right side, it may come back. But it's gone because it was of another fragile order of reality. It's called a qualified reality. It had time and space demarcations. And the word which is opposite to Satyam, which appears like reality, but it probably is not reality because on analysis we found out it was there, but then it was not there. So it did not last throughout. Only the observer of these realities lasted. These realities came and went, right? So therefore this dream reality, it comes and then it goes away. So it is not known as Satyam, it is known as Mithya. Can you remember that word? Mithya. So today we are learning two concepts, Brahman versus Mithya. Okay. So Mithya comes from, the myth word comes from Mithya, myth, the myth, right? So Mithya. And the root word is Sanskrit, Mithya. So it's just like dream is a Mithya, a qualified reality. So don't buy real estate in your dream and think you're good to go. Because then you'll have to wake up to a higher order of reality and you might realize you don't even have $100 in your bank and you better get to work, sort out your work ethics and, get employed and, work on it, at least pay rent. So therefore, this reality has a higher order of reality. But then the rishis, so we all take it so for granted. But then the rishis again told us, sorry, this is also mithya because it disappears when you're asleep. Whether you're a pauper or a king, it's all gone. Even if there's a death in the family, once you're asleep, it's gone. You meet those dead people in your dreams, so reality changes. So therefore, entertain the idea that even this reality is mithya, and you are waiting to awaken to the absolute reality. Are we clear? So we have talked about two kinds of awakening. One is awakening not to your samsara-based reality, but awakening to your Brahman-based reality. And entertain, and when you take an outer knowledge and it becomes your inner knowing, you awaken to it. Okay? So what I told you, what is words, when it becomes your reality, you have awakened. The other one is when you awaken, while you're walking around, you start seeing that this is of a qualified reality. So maybe it's time to take our loved ones and our hated ones a little less seriously. Don't get invested in relationship real estate in mithya. It's all right. Do your best. Practice Dharma. If love comes your way, reciprocate love. If hate comes your way, reciprocate understanding. That probably I planted some karmic seeds. We will talk about karma in our next, whenever that topic comes up. But I've taught karma like nobody's tomorrow, and you can find it in our library when you are members. So, show understanding, show compassion for yourself and the other. Don't react. Don't let your raga, dvesha, all that action get activated. So that's other kind of. So mithya is there. It's a reality. And Vedanta doesn't say it's all a dream. It's saying it's a reality. But maybe it doesn't need so much investment of all your time, all your energy, all your emotions, all your everything. because that's where you take out time for a spiritual teacher, your spiritual journey, for contemplation, meditation. You do your best, but as if it's like you're visiting through a Alice in Wonderland, you're visiting through a land, you do your best, you bow a lot, you help others, and you complete some karma, and you're done. I have an uncle who was a little who was a great teacher for my child self, because he was of the strict kind and critical nature. And probably was an antithesis to my father, who was super supportive and super kind and super compassionate. My uncle was, he'd find the one thing that was not okay with me, my growing self, and point that out. So he was definitely the teacher of, I had these two teachers in my life. And now the uncle is alone and doesn't have anybody to look after him, and he has medical issues and he's aging. And I sat with it and I said, wow, I get to be there for him. Wow. I get to finish this cycle of karma. I get to not reciprocate the darkness, because that darkness came to me because, through that difficulty that he gave my young soul, he ultimately, if there is a bigger reality, then this could not be evil. This is part of something else. And I get to, so I'm letting you know that if he gets really sick, I'll only be doing all my classes on webinar. And if you guys are serious, you won't disappear. But if you do, I will see you next lifetime, or maybe some other teacher will take care of you, because I don't plan to come back. So anyway, so we do our Dharma in the awake world. We don't get petty and get competitive and tit for tat, and we don't do this. We do Dharma. We become Buddhas. We awaken. We awaken to the opportunity, because we do Dharma because Dharma is in a way to calm down the samsara, right? So karma yoga and upasana yoga, which I've been teaching you, calm down this mental samsara. And as it calms down, because I could just get very active around my uncle itself. Wow, now he needs me. Oh, yeah. And when I was a child, was he there for me? And I remember when my mother had died, he had said I could just go on and on, create a trauma around it, have aversion and attraction around going to India. What will happen to my students if I went there? What will I do? I can do all this, or I can say, my reality is really big, so Vedika and uncle and everybody are just parts of it, and I'm just going to do what Dharma tells me to do. So how easy, right? It's easy. Other things then in my life take care of themselves. See? So what happens is we start leading in a bigger portrait rather than this collapsed, narrow portrait with limited choices. There's, the monster here and the sea here, and, we're going to, it's a bigger thing. So therefore, this is very important. And finally, what about this universe? Why do we have it? So now I'm going to tease your intellect a little more. And some of you may never choose to come back to this classroom, but then that's also okay. But there is all this theory around, did God create this universe? So is there a creation that happened here? And then, who is this? Darwin? He said, oh no, this is an evolution. So there is the creation theory, right? Then there is the evolution theory, right? And then many spiritualists said there's a transformation theory. So like, for example, in Christianity, we find creation. And in biology, we find evolution. And then we have, in certain spiritual traditions emanating from India, we have something called transformation, where God has become this universe. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Advaita Vedanta says there is neither creation, there is neither evolution, there is neither transformation. So what the Upanishads are trying to tell us is that this universe is only an appearance in our own samsara. And that It's almost like Brahman there is this universe and its creatures who have the capacity to awaken to the whole truth, or they can stay lost. And it is by grace of Brahman that they get informed of the other path. It's not a path that bounds them in religious or ritual or anything, but just opens them. The path to abiding health, the path to abiding peace, the path to abiding power and spiritual freedom. But it's almost like it's an appearance, vivartavad, where have you walked into a room and it was dark and there was a rope lying there and you said, oh, it's a snake. And then somebody came in, like a teacher, and switched on the light and said, silly goof, there is no snake here. It's only a rope. So what I'm trying to tell you is, just like you saw the dream and then there was no dream, there was really no houses, no towers, no mountains, no rivers, right? But you believed it. It was all there when you were there. In the same way, you were really taking seriously all of this, and I'm that funny figure in your dream telling you that none of this is really there. And so when you wake up in the absolute reality, this does not matter. You can save this planet, you can clean this planet, you can dirty this planet. This is all just a play of your own mind. But when you wake up from it, the rishis have told us that even this does not exist. And only the one sea of pure consciousness exists. So just chew upon it. You got chewing gum, spiritual chewing gum, chew upon it. You don't have to go home and say, none of this is real, so I'm not going to clean my sink. No, you don't get to do that. Because you are told that until you wake up, you're in this qualified reality. And the best part is that this qualified reality, when you're awake, is a time you can make more choices. Like, say you tried to come to my classroom in a dream. Say you fell asleep and you thought you were going to come to my classroom. You could have tried, but you could not have found Doyle Street Suite 2. You would rarely have gone into the wine shop and be drinking wine, right? So, in the dream world, we can try to get places. Has that happened? But we don't get there because our soul intention is there. But the dream world, the qualified reality is highly enhanced, so very difficult to make it through. However, in the awake state, we have greater chances of making it happen. Greater. Not always true, but greater. So this, when you're awake, you log on to your webinar or you come to the classroom, you study this, you let your teacher pull your mind here and there, left, right, north, south, because my goal is to break you from your smug thinking that this is it. You are 5 feet something or 6 feet. You are this weight. You are this sex. You are this race. You are this color. And you have this karma and this destiny. And your astrologer told you so. And your Vedya said Vata Pitta Kapha. And this is it. This is your life. And you're lucky or unlucky. Or you missed the bus or you're really on it. Yippee. None of this. None of this. Because this is fine, but this is one level of reality. But it can leave you kind of wanting, tired, and depleted after a while. So we are trying to extend your address as to who you are. And for that, it is my job to then introduce you to concepts which are mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. And that is why not one but half a dozen quantum physicists have said what the Upanishads have shown is the way for where quantum physics and relativity and the concept of universes and and where mind and consciousness collide has been shown by the Upanishads. But have I been completely esoteric to you, or are you coming closer to what I'm trying to say? So what I'm trying to say here is what you see may not be your only reality. And I'll tell you now, in conclusion, the last few minutes, my day-to-day pragmatic benefits of touching myself. My day-to-day pragmatic benefits are that even if I have a physical pain, I look at it not as an alien, but part of that one me self, and I claim it back. You're like, here, come back. When I experience something, any emotion, people have been with me and my state of energy and I have clarity. I'm a strong person. To be spiritual doesn't mean willy-nilly and all over the place. I'm strong. I lead my relationships, very clear boundaries. And yet, there is a childlike innocence at any time. Why? Because all of it feels like an extension of the self. So therefore, be it any demand on my life, any difficult or easy person, even an easy person cannot seduce me into having a easy peasy relationship with that person, and nor will a difficult person spook me into having a complex, stressed out relationship. Because I look at that difficult person and I remember all of it being Brahman. And what happens is the person doesn't change, I change. And when I change, I get to connect to that person's another part. Or I understand that person and part of the whole, and then I react in a completely different way, unpredictable way. From deep within, I might be saying simple things like, good morning, how are you? So I'm not talking Sanskrit to them. I'm like, yeah, good morning, how are you? Yeah, the weather is like that. But my perception of that person is not of this segregated you versus I. There is a deep sense of it's all happening in the dream. And all of this will then condense back into the one Brahman, which is myself. So with this I end. This was an important key message for us of Brahman versus Mithya. And samsara, or the mind-based subjective reality, weaves and lives and functions and reproduces in Mithya, and takes it for real. And a spiritual reality begins when at least we can see Mithya for Mithya and say, this, many great scholars have said, this too shall pass. What is it? It is nothing but a statement of pointing Mithya. This shall pass. So things that pass, things that change, should not require our 100% emotional investment. So even if you have a lover or a child or a pet or a home or a bank account, anything in your life, bow to it because it's an expression of Brahman, but it should be somewhat of an impersonal understanding, and try to connect at a deeper level with the self within that. And that is more important. So with this, I'm going to stop here. And we're going to meditate for a bit. And I shall lead you through a meditation on Brahman, which is everywhere, shining in our heart. And Brahman can be known inwardly through stillness and through quietness. The promise of the Upanishads is that your Brahman self shall self-reveal itself to you. I am Mahatma Brahma. I am Brahman that lives in your own soul, your own self. Dear students, after this intellectually challenging discourse by me, let go of all concepts, let go of any fears of a foreign language or new concepts. If you want to come to a permanent state of well-being and not just a feel-good, temporary state of well-being, then join me on this journey. Let my voice connect you. You're all connecting anyway. To that still observer, the master of all awareness within your being. Satyam, truth. Jnanam, intelligent awareness, observer. Anantam, infinite, will not be restricted, obstructed. Infinite bliss, infinite joy, infinite presence. What a dream you have dreamt. Let go of all those dreams of difficulties, difficult people, loss and death. And why not connect with all power, all wealth, all bliss within you? Why not see the losses and the deaths you have experienced as none but comings and goings, as necessary in the dream of Brahman, of pure consciousness? There is no any one preference that you need to hold on to. It is all wonderful. When you awaken from it, you had lost nothing, you had gained nothing. You were complete, you are complete. It's like a magic show going on outside, going on in your mind, but you are the observer. You are the real magic. Embrace yourself. Entertain that you have this amazing spiritual, magical self. Deep, deep compassion now flowing through you for all the lost beings who come to you and have inadequate, confusing encounters. They have not had the privilege of receiving this knowledge. They are lost. Lost in Mithya, lost in trying to make sandcastles. Let not their anger or irritability surprise you or shock you. Bless all those beings who are still lost from your Brahman self. Though you shall come out of this meditation and participate in the changing reality, Mithya, but you shall do it from a remembrance that this is not the ultimate reality. And your task is to go home to your inner Om, where this vibration of Om is your voice of yourself. The rishis could even stop their breath for days because they realized that the breath were even because the self was not dependent on the breath was dependent on the self. The rishis would not eat for years because they now recognize that the food was not what we needed for life. Life itself enjoyed food. So we have it upside down. We have given too much importance to the body and the mind. We should give it right importance with Ayurveda and yoga. But now it is time to enjoy this magical self, this fiercely luminous self, this beautiful, powerful self, this God self. Ah, such relief. The so-called enemies are not enemies now. The so-called lovers don't have control over us. We are free. Mhm. Open your eyes, dear students. Today I took you through a very deep class. I'm glad many of you journeyed with me and allowed me to tease your mind to an expanse that was unexpected perhaps, but that invisible hidden paradigm had to be brought out and we should become familiar with it. It's time.
Now we will take 5 minutes of silence to allow the experience of our guided meditation, to allow the words we've received to reverberate in our own being. You're welcome to unmute yourself so that we can be in silence together. And I'll let you know when our 5 minutes is drawing to a close. So go ahead and simply be with your own awareness and invite these ideas to filter through. Keep inviting your awareness back by asking yourself the question, what resonated from within when I heard this satsanga today? Continuing to bring awareness back to your inner space, becoming aware of what is softening, what is opening because of these teachings we've received. In our final 1 minute of contemplation, bring awareness to what is emerging as your key insight that's been revealed from within through these teachings. What new conviction has emerged and what's become your deep inner knowing? You begin now to return your awareness back to your physical body. Maybe taking another deep breath or two, becoming aware again of the room around you, where you're seated. If you'd like, you can write a few words. If it's something that emerged that you'd like to recall. Mm. So we were introduced to these two words which perhaps are very familiar to you already. Maybe you already had an intellectual awareness of, perhaps felt very connected to the previous teachings we've been receiving. Or if you're new with us today, maybe they were a whole fresh concept to explore. But we weighed these two, we opened the doorway to two kinds of reality that we can wake up to ultimately in an ultimate awakening. But we can also, in our day-to-day lives, as we're moving through the world, continue to chew on, like she said, like spiritual chewing gum, continue to entertain this idea. And this was her invitation to us in this satsanga, to entertain this idea that this tangible physical reality is part, not the whole, of ultimate reality. So I'd like now to invite anyone who would like to share maybe about a reflection that they've had, a key point they received in this satsanga today. These teachings leave us a bit speechless, I know. Pragya, please share with us.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. The reflection that I had was that we're through our most recent teachings that we're working with. It's about like reaching up and having that relationship and knowing, Satyam, and sort of reaching up to Brahman and Atman. But here, I felt like she was giving us an invitation to bring those Atman qualities to our waking dream, feeling our eternal nature powerful and blissful. And that really overcame me with beauty.
Yeah, thank you. People talk about lucid dreaming. We are talking about lucid waking life, isn't it? Let's be awake when we think we're awake. Yeah. And I liked too that shift you talked about often when we talk about Brahman, Atman, it's something outside that we're reaching toward, that we're moving toward. But you're saying that this satsanga today reminded you that the invitation is that we're infused in it always. It's what we're existing in. Yes. So that shift is profound. Yes. And has an impact on how we see our journey, doesn't it? Yeah. Thank you, Pragya. Hello, James. I see you doing this. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was wonderful. And I think for me, the idea is that if we accept the manifest as the ultimate reality, then we're actually asleep. And what that means is that we are kind of overwhelmed by just what's before us. We don't realize that there is another dimension to what we see. And then on the other hand, I'm very grateful for the manifest because it seems that that's the only way that we can experience who we are, because if we were enjoined in pure consciousness, then we'd be aware, but we wouldn't, there wouldn't be the opportunity to experience. And we're getting this opportunity to experience through this manifest human structure. And I think also for me, I think the more that we're aware of the Brahman quality, then in a sense, everything we see is Brahman. Because even though we'll look at an object, again, in a sense, it's a covering It's Brahman being hidden. And why would it be hidden? Because the nature of Brahman is to be consciousness. And in the same way that we want to have all the experience we can have, then Brahman also wants to experience everything that there is that could be experienced. That might sound like a jumble, but that's kind of where I am. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Yeah, yeah. I like when you're discussing the gratitude for, we feel that gratitude for the opportunity to experience Brahman in all its myriad forms. And I think we get to that place that you're at when we've separated a little bit from our samsara. When we are stepped back, we can see this whole setup as an opportunity, an invitation to experience Brahman. We see it as this fulcrum point where we have choice to choose if we want to just keep the goggles on and stay with this one manifest reality concept, or if we want to take them off and see it as part of the whole. So it's quite a dynamic moment, isn't it? This human life that we're living in. When we have this knowledge, otherwise it's a bit insufferable. You know, we're buffeted and drowning and climbing and struggling, but so these teachings give us this whole nother way of engaging, as you said, with this reality right here. We now transform our experience of this reality right here, which is real, but qualified, as she says. Yeah. Thank you, James. Would anyone else like to share? Yes, Suchira and then Parisa.
Thank you, Ishaniji. Ishaniji, can you talk a little bit more on the concept of qualified reality? That was very intriguing for me, but I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly, actually.
Yeah. When she says qualified reality, she means that it is existing inside these parameters of time and space limitations. So it's arising and it's falling. When we saw that word Satyam, when we looked at the definition of Brahman, we said Satyam means truth. And the definition of truth is that which remains constant across time, across space. It's birthless and deathless. It exists always. To be true in this definition of the Advaita Vedanta definition, it means it has to exist always. But this, what we're calling qualified reality, it's rising and falling. It's existing and falling apart. So everything, and when we stop and look back, even the things that seem very permanent, the Himalayas, the orbit of the planets in their, you know, their arcs, all of that seems permanent, but it also, as we know, is impermanent and it will change. And so in that sense, it's qualified. It has some limitations. So that is the distinction between that reality and the Brahman, Satyam reality, which is free of those limitations. Yes? Thank you. Parisa.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ishaniji, for this explication about qualified reality. What I wanted to say is actually related to this. And it somehow reminded me of something that I had already encountered but didn't understand fully. Today's teaching in our mananam brought this from inside me or the place of my heart, that you are already free. You are already free. Don't assume that you are chained. You are already free. And this somehow connected to what Shunyaji told us about qualified reality with time and space demarcation. It reminded me of a poem I don't know the English translation because I know it in the original language Persian. It is from Rumi. He says, your fear, you are afraid um, of the past and the future. If you are liberated from these, there's no problem. Um, I somehow feel that what we receive today, um, for me, connected to this piece of poetry, to its deeper meaning, that when we take this qualified reality very seriously, um, maybe for many of us, the first emotion that comes up is fear. We are afraid because we take the time and space very seriously. So if we can make some distance between our true self, seeing our true self, and seeing the distance between ourselves and the reality that we see, um, then the fear goes away and we are already free. Thank you.
Thank you, Parisa. Yes, for putting other and beautiful words to this same idea of um, it's the qualified part, and then the vast, expansive, transcendental part of us, and then also the key to overcoming the fear that our small self that fully is invested in this qualified reality doesn't want to let it go because it's what it knows and it's fully invested. Um, the antidote to that fear, as you're describing, is to remember that that Satyam, that Brahman is our own essential nature. Like there's a oneness there. Um, and it's already here and it's already present. It isn't like we have to let go of one and then hope we can catch the other. It's like when this calms down, this will self-reveal on its own. Yeah, that's beautiful. In our chat, Kavya shares, what came up for me during this powerful meditation was realizing the strength of the magical and fiercely luminous self. It is all pervading and immutable, yet we make so much effort to cover and mute it. I wish I could just let it go and allow this magical self to shine through this qualified reality. Yeah, Acharya Shunya describes the potency of coming back regularly to be in touch with our own deepest self. And just a moment, that meditation feels like it was like a half an hour, but that meditation was maybe 4 minutes. So just these 3-4 minutes of remembering and coming back into a visceral experience of our deepest self um, opens up a whole new paradigm. Yes. Would anyone else like to bring a share or a clarification? Yes, Kalyani.
I was thinking about, I believe it was during the meditation when Shunyiji was saying that gains and losses and death and joy and just any of these preferences, this raga dvesha that we have, the likes, the aversions, that they're all part of this mithya, that they're part of just the flow of Brahman, but that they're not Brahman, right? They're these ever-changing temporary states. And going off of what the prior share about not investing so much of our emotional time in them, but also what came up for me was this concept of shraddha, of just this functional trust in the setup, that there's this Brahman that is, as you had said, Sadhvi Ishani ji, beyond time and space, that is always there, and just in that setup is occurring this dream reality, and that, not meaning, as she said, that doesn't mean, you don't want to, your sink needs to be clean, so but you don't clean it because it's in Mithya, but just fostering that separation, and also just having this trust. So much of time, some circumstance happens that we're encountering or that we're hearing about, and we form just these such strong opinions, and just this reminder of all of that those opinions and such, right? That's just all part of this samsara cycle. It's all this mithya, and it's another way of looking at it. I've always, when I think about it, I'll think like, oh, that is I'm separate from that, right? I am, but this is another guideline for which to with which to think about it, as it's real too, but it's not the ultimate level of reality. And as others have shared, there's just uh the waves calm down a bit, the ego, the emotions, that, oh, there's this other, there's this ultimate, this magic, right? The ultimate magic that I can rest in, that is beyond this.
Thank you, Kalyani, for bringing in that practical component. And I think I'm curious also how that nexus is sitting with others, where there was one through line here of where we look at the samsara reality, which is in our own minds, created in reaction to the world. We look at this mithya, we look at the changeable world around us. And so one through line is we continue to say, this is mithya, it's not ultimate truth. And so we kind of soften its importance. It becomes less critical for us to control it, succeed in it, gather up as many pieces of it as we can. It loses its importance to us, is one through line. Another through line is that, and yet inside of samsara, inside of mithya, we have responsibilities. We have to act. So dharma is another through line of, as long as, I think her words were something like, as long as we're inside of this mithya world, we have to act with dharma. Why? Because it calms down our samsara. It calms down all of our attachments and aversions and that whole slope we discussed a few weeks ago. So there's this, and a third through line is the continually coming back to the experience of the self, the remembrance of the self, like we did in the meditation, of just dropping it all and going within. I'm curious how these are lining up. This, I know that as these topics are explored, squaring those within our own selves becomes very important. And the outcome that Acharya Shunya says, as she described, is when you square those things, my inner experience is Brahman, and then I look out at the Mithya world and I say, that's not actually totally real, so let me just kind of soften to it. But then I also am practicing Dharma inside of it, because I'm not quite established here nor there, but I'm somehow here in the middle of this world. So I'm practicing Dharma and staying active. When we square those things, what she described is, it becomes easy. Things become easy. Life becomes easy. Boundaries in relationships, they're easy to perceive, observe, assert, and be fine with. The rising and falling of emotions of easy and difficult people become very navigable. We are connected with that sovereign, with that eternal, with that unshakable essence within us. So these fluctuations are easy. We feel them, but they're easy. When it comes time to choose between dharma and selfishness, what we want to do and what's hard to do, it becomes easy to just say, well, let me just do Dharma because it's all Mithya anyway. I might as well do Dharma. So it becomes easy to do Dharma. So the churning, the chewing gum part of allowing the world to dissolve, yet also engaging with it, and then also having time to go within, like squaring these facets of what it means to be an embodied human being inside of this wild setup, um, brings a deep sense of ease. So I wanted to highlight that. She described it, and I've definitely experienced that blossoming of benefit in my own life by implementing these by churning and becoming clear on how all of those fit together. Deborah, I see your hand. Would you like to share with us?
Everything you were recounting there was what I was thinking about. I felt like I went on this amazing journey with her from the beginning. And what stood out for me were the tools she was displaying for us, saying, don't get invested in relationship reality. Whatever comes your way, show understanding, compassion for yourself and the other really stood out for me. And also that you don't have to reciprocate, I think she said, the darkness. There's a bigger reality. It's a part of something else. And then what you said, just do what Dharma tells you, and your life takes care of itself. And it sounds like all these tools for transcending the ego and the mind. This was a way to move past that and to have everything calm down, which is where we journeyed with her, and that's where she brought us, was to this calm shore, soul with Brahman. And I just really appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was when we see the darkness or we see a physical pain or we see a difficult relationship, it's embracing it. It was calling it back in. And that's another key aspect of when we see Mithya for Mithya's sake, Mithya nature of it. It's not a dissolving it and it goes into the compost bin and now it's not a part of the world. It's actually, we see it as Mithya and we say, and that's also included in Brahman. That's also included in this deep, expansive, all-encompassing consciousness that's within me. So that's another aspect of discerning and distancing from Mithya. It's again, we have to chew on it. We have to sit with it. We have to ask ourselves and see it from many angles. How do I distance and discern, but also let it be part of this comprehensive whole? That's where she's stretching our minds as well. She said we allow the teacher to stretch our mind in many directions. Yeah. We have time for one more. Yes, Nancy.
Thank you, Chani, and hi everyone. I'm sorry I came late again, but when I came in, I got what I got to get, and what I really, we always, I mean, I have heard and I have used the term "this too shall pass" many times, but I think today the way she said it and the other things that we're talking about here, that makes that connection to the impermanence of things. So it's not like a saying like "this too shall pass," and that understanding, but the depths of it and the connection to the eternal, the connection to that I think that really I'm feeling it in a very different way now, and it's like a reminder, right? Like in the good and the bad, this too shall pass. I won't have to attach myself to this moment or despair in this moment. Easier said than done sometimes, but the idea that that this too shall pass is really a truth that is bigger than just like a pretty phrase. It's really connected to this sacred principle. It's really beautiful to me. And another connection that I had today was kind of funny because actually last night I did have a dream that I was going somewhere and I didn't make it. that I turned around and I didn't go. So when she said that example of the dream, just as I was kind of checking in, I was like, oh, wait a minute, like, because that dream is being in the back of my mind all day, and to come here, like, running out, and then the first thing I hear is like that. It was like, hmm, I wonder what the message is here, and I have to think about it. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to share that it really um, landed in a very special place today. So I wouldn't
Yes.
hear that phrase again the same way.
Yes. Yeah, that phrase has a whole new meaning now. This too shall pass often means like, so let me white knuckle it until it's over, is one common way people think of that. But what she's saying is this too shall pass means, oh, if it's passing, that means it's changeable. That means it rises and falls. That means it's part of Mithya, which means it's not ultimate reality. So let me now come back to there is a presence within me that is not passing, that is ever present. And so that space, yes, the way she explores that gives us so much to continue to explore. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm also seeing in the chat that today's teaching, Shunyaji said that Dharma is in a way to calm down samsara, which happens in the mind. And I find that's very helpful. Yes, yes.
Chani, I'm sorry. Can you spell Mithya? Like, I think I'm missing it for like, it's not
Yeah,
because eternal, there is Nitya and there is Mit, and I'm,
okay. Yes, that's different than that. So Mithya, Mithya, myth, like a myth, like a
oh,
story
okay.
we're being told, that word comes from there. Mithya, different than the word nitya, Nitya. So nitya means eternal,
Yes.
but this is mithya.
Yeah, so I was like, I was trying to figure out the,
Yes, yes, yes.
thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Nancy. Yeah, wonderful. This was a deep class, and I found myself many times when I was watching this selection for today and then again hearing it today, I was impressed upon me the fact that what a bold statement. And only someone who has felt that, seen that, knows that with a deep, deep conviction can say such things. And as she said in previous satsangas, it's possible to know that, for that to become our deepest inner knowing, our conviction. And so when I see the way Acharya Shunya conveys this truth of Brahman and Mithya and Satyam, and also says it's possible for each and every one of us to have that same lived conviction, that's yet another component for me to sit with and chew on and contemplate. So I hope in this coming week, we all have many, many opportunities to keep looking at the world and questioning, poking it, testing its boundaries and saying, is this Mithya or is this Satyam? And spoiler alert, it's all Mithya that you'll be touching out there in the world, but many, many reminders. So continue to experiment with that. And next week, in continuation with this same satsanga, Acharya Shunya received questions when this was done live in 2017. And in that session, we receive a beautiful, vulnerable share from a student. It becomes a case study for how this wisdom gets applied in a very, very practical way. So I'm very much looking forward to sharing that with you. And the same student will come and be with us, and she will share how that teaching has reverberated for her in the past 8 years. So it's going to be a beautiful session next week as well. So with that, we'll close today, and I'll invite Kalyani to bring us with the closing prayer. Jai Ma and Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Sadhvi Ishani, for leading us through this mananam as we began to sit with and churn this very deep satsanga from today. So we will now close with our prayer for us that may we journey to awakening through to this ultimate level of reality, to this Brahman that is within us and that is everywhere, that is beyond the time and space, as we've heard today, that is eternal and changeless, that may we journey from that untruth to truth, the darkness to the light, from the mortality to the immortality. And so I invite you, if you wish to chant along or simply to listen, inhale. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. We will meet again soon. Take care. Jai Ma.